Aloha, everyone, and welcome to Java. Thank you for joining me. This is Friday, September 29th, 2023, and the effective end of September as far as trading and business. The first is actually Sunday, but we've got quite a bit going on. We are also still looking at, in the US, a pending government shutdown, so that will have a major effect on things. So, as normal, we have our favorite risk indicator, the MMRI app. It has retraced since being above the 300 extreme level, but it's still in very high risk area. We've got quite a few things going on with this, including that possible government shutdown that could happen as early as this next week. So we'll be watching for that today. So these are the futures right now. After having a little bit of some punishment, they are retracing as we expected. Futures right now a bit green, and stocks recovering a bit in the face of all of this. And a large part of this is because, as we were talking about, the relative strength of the dollar and the 10-year yield are both retracing, both below like extreme levels into that resistance that we were talking about yesterday. So we're watching gold prices go down this ahead of the shutdown, moving out of the risk off moves, at least not so high. I'd spoken about this before, and I see this as an opportunity to get gold and silver on sale. Uh, and buying in small as these prices are going down, could go down a bit more. We're expecting it to actually, and taking the opportunity to swap assets into some more gold if you are so inclined. Okay, going to the calendar, we are watching the PCEs coming out today prior to market open. We've also got Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. She's going to speak at 11 a.m. That could possibly move markets depending on what she says, of course. And we've got the Federal Reserve Bank of New York President John Williams. So he's coming out 12:45 p.m. and I expect they have placed him at this time very strategically in case the markets do start reacting to not only what's going on as far as the yields and interest rates, but which we're going to speak about more in a moment, but also in the case of the government shutdown having too much of an effect. It is Friday, going into Friday rules. So caution here, you don't want to go into the weekend feeling terrible. So we've got a couple of news here on these rates. BlackRock, thinking investors should believe that the Fed is going to hike again. And I've been speaking about this, particularly with the price of oil going up, it will increase inflation. And so they're going to have to bring that narrative back about hiking rates in order to bring it down. When the real reason behind it, we all know, is the inflation with the currency race. So we've also got CEO Larry Fink himself saying he sees the 10-year yields heading above 5%. Now, he is also agreeing with Jamie Dimon, the top guy at JP Morgan Chase, also saying that it could hit 7%. And we'll talk about that in a bit as well. So one of the items that they're listing for this in the continued hike outlook is because of the structural inflation that they are not able to get hold of. So yesterday I was talking about the uninverting yield curve, and this story came out today. Well, actually late last night. The Treasury yield curve uninverting for what is shaping up to be the wrong reasons. This, in my opinion, is a major flag to look out for. And as this yield curve uninverts, it's going to affect not only the treasuries, of course, everything that is along with that in the loans, but things will begin to unwind at a very rapid pace. So, going into banks and central banks, we had the largest sell off in 25 years in Japan bonds. So, why is this huge? Well, we'll talk about that in a moment, but we've got to watch the Bank of Japan. So, ever since the end of World War II, we've been kind of structurally designing the Bank of Japan and how that has been coming into play in the financial world stage. So, we've got them acting to slow their rising bond yields. They put out an unscheduled buying purchase. And this is the article on it, a short part of the article. But the important part right here, The Bank of Japan tells the markets not to challenge the central bank. So that kind of gives a little bit of a window into how this is viewed, and I think we should pay attention to this. In a short, this is off, but on the other side, with smaller banks, we've got ABN AMRO cutting 70% of New York jobs, saying reportedly in a push to focus on Europe. We're beginning to watch a little bit. This is the first sign of a currency split. So the central banks have been staying in lockstep, mainly between, we've got the Bank of England, European Central Bank with the euro, and of course the US dollar. And we're beginning to watch a little bit of rift here. It's going to be a while, but that's just one sign. Okay, going on to the real estate, we did have pending home sales. They kind of plummeted more than expected. So we expected them to go down, but more than expected in August. And of course, the builders were ahead of this. The newly built homes, reversed course, and they dropped over 9% in August. And that was because the builders no longer giving incentives and they're getting out. So we'll look for that trend to continue. Moving on, we've got trade and info wars I'd like to go over. So I find this amusing, but it's definitely coming from both sides, and we've known this. So uh, Russia is accusing the US public being deprived of truthful reporting. Well, I agree with this, saying Americans are starved of accurate information on issues such as Nord Stream and the conflict that is going over there. And so I agree with that, and that is actually exactly why I am here. And then we've got from the other side, the United States is saying China's global information manipulation is threatening freedom. They don't say to who. I think it threatens US freedom as well as Chinese freedom. And they're doing the same thing. They're talking about how they're spending billions to spread the disinformation. Well, United States is doing the same thing. And so I want to go into the back end of that a little bit. We've got the United States National Security Agency. They are now beginning to look into, actually, they've been doing this for some time. And I had named a company quite some time ago that they were utilizing quietly. And it's called Palantir. The ticker is PLTR. And their main business is data mining. Basically, they're getting into artificial intelligence and they're looking into, basically, they're integrating this into this another agency. So who are they going to be looking this out for? Let's look ahead a little bit. We know that they're going to be integrating this not only with banking, but several other things with movement in and out of the country and other things that are going on. But we'll keep you up to date on that. And then I want to move on because we are really there's several wars going on right now. Not just physical conflict, but we've got trade wars going on with the sanctioning. We've also got the currency wars going on that are basically, if we can control the money supply and control goods, if people are starving, then it's going to have a definite effect. Well, one of the larger wars going on is for space. So no longer warring for land, but space, because in space we've got satellites, of course, that we can implement all of these other things with AI that needs the communication connections. Because in reality, a communication blackout can really cripple someone. So the US quietly acknowledged that Iran now has gotten a satellite successfully into orbit. Now, I don't see them as a huge threat, but let's move on. So we've got two stories here, and these are from different time periods, but I want to bring this up on a comparison directly. SpaceX, which is, of course, Elon Musk's, is winning first Pentagon contract for Starshield satellite network for military use. Okay, we've got to look into this a little bit more and think about why they're doing contracts for military satellite networks, not just communication, of course. And Blue Origin, which is Amazon, was the one who had it previously, talking about Blue Origin losing their satellite network communications. This is playing into the artificial intelligence and much more. So with that, if you like what we've brought here, please hit the like. If there's something more you would like to see, please leave it in the comments. Or if there's something you don't like about this, please let me know as well, so that I can improve, because I really like to bring this here for what everyone wants to see. So with that, I'd like to go into a couple of lava updates. Okay, the first one being that the United States is offering a $5 million reward for insight into the Ecuador election assassination. So why would we offer so much? It's very well known that we put certain people into place because that's who we want to basically run as a puppet for that country. Anyway, just a thought there. We've also got the sitting head, if you will, calling the other side into extremist movement. Now, before I take a lot of flack with this, I'm not for quote unquote either side of the United States. I think they're two wings on the same bird. The issue here is that they're now calling in more language of extremist movements, calling them terrorists, and more importantly, calling them basically seditionists and also traitors, because these words still, there are laws on the books where the penalties are death. So very important, we got to watch this, because if they can relabel you, you can lose all of your rights in this country. So I know that's a little dark, but I find it very important, and that's part of why I really think it's important to build a community, know who you're around, and have like-minded. And with that, I'd like to bring, not so dark, I'd like to bring a little more lightness into this. Something, this was a story. So this was in Philadelphia. This is his emotional support pet alligator. Now you can notice this harness that he's got on this guy, but he was denied bringing him into the stadium. Let me know what you think about this. Having an emotional support alligator, I thought it was kind of funny. So with that, I wish you a green trading day, just a wonderful day in general. I can be reached in here. There's links in the description. And as always, my friends, until I see you again, stay free.